Hello students, welcome to the series on entrepreneurship. Today we are going to study ecopreneurship. Now let's study the objective of this lecture. The basic objective is to study the concept of eco-entrepreneurship, the role and functions of eco-entrepreneurs and the impact of eco-entrepreneurs on environment. Now let's first study the concept of eco-entrepreneurship. Ecopreneurs build sustainability in the environment. Their efforts are driven for conservation of resources by maintaining profits for the organization. They need to create a society where there is a balanced use of finite resources to maintain harmony in the nature, to preserve possibilities of good life for future generations. Now, this is a new concept in entrepreneurship field where eco-entrepreneurs basically try to build sustainability for environment. Their efforts do not need to compromise for profits, but they need to search for substitutes to use resources which can help in the conservation of environmental wealth. They basically bring goodness in the environment and they also resort to preserve the possibilities of good life for future generations. Green entrepreneur. Green entrepreneur integrates environmental, economic and social parameters for building business vision. He creates innovative solutions for designing nature oriented sensitive services. He builds scope for scaling up of business model to create a green economy. Now they integrate the environmental quality, the economic goals, that is profits are important for organizations, and also social well-being, that is if the business is earning profits and is creating lot of pollution for the environment, it is not only the environment is being harmed, but a bad environment also impacts social quality of life of people. Social quality is that if you become ill and most of the people are in hospitals because of pollution, then you will not have good health of people, and people who do not have good health cannot be good citizens, they cannot be good workers for the organizations. So, we are destroying the options and the opportunities of healthy life which are important to create good business ideas. So, this is an integrated cycle that if we create pollution, it is not only that the people will be harmed, but because these people they are consumers, these people they are vendors, these people they are suppliers, and these people they are employers also, and these people they are also employees also. So, you impact your own cycle by destroying the wealth of nature and also the social fabric. The social capital reduces because of the frustrations and lot of violence in the society. Balancing three components for sustainability. So, it is important that the business has to balance environment so as to reduce frustrations in the society. The environmental conditions limit on the resource supply, waste disposal and environmental pollution. Economy has to balance production and consumption processes within constraints. Society has to politically and culturally manage social effect for long term consequences. Now, environmental conditions which impact business performance is how do we do waste management, where big operations of business do create impact on environment, that is in terms of the resources and the energy we are using. So, how do we use resources which are biodegradable? How do we use resources which do not have negative impact on the environment? Economy has to balance, like you have to do a production to look into the consumption of people in a healthy way. That is, if there are chemicals and if there are earthy resources, a less impact which will balance life is a earthy resource that will enhance and fulfill the consumption aspect of the people, and that will also give profits to the organizers. Society has to save and preserve their values, the culture and the social fabric in terms of connections, because if if there is a lot of violence, there is lot of uh, conflicts in people, there is lot of hatred because of the bad supply of goods and services from the business houses, it will generate lot of hatred from the society, which is not going to in long term build the cultural capital of the any economy. Ecopreneurship builds eco-capitalism. Ecopreneurship creates eco-capitalism for identifying opportunities for improving environmental quality, designing a balanced relationship with ecosystem. That is, you have to have a relationship and a balance with environment. Uh, you can use the earth's resources in such a way that they are regenerated. We cannot do excessive exploitation of resources and use lot of wood where all the forests will be degenerated. The earth has a regenerative capacity, but a humble approach to give time and sustain those resources, that they need to have been given a time of regenerating the resources, and so you should decide a speed in such a way that when one jungle is sown, then only you can take another jungle. That is, you can use 1/6 of the wealth every year of the environment, because that much amount of time is required to regenerate it. Issues related to eco-entrepreneurship is the ocean pollution to recycling to food wastage, cradle product design, triple bottom line accounting. Now, these are the technical terms which we are going to deal in details and see how these issues have impacted the global world in terms of pollution. Creating sustainable product design. Let us see first impact, how do we try to maintain a balance by creating designs which are sustainable. Product design needs to be eco-friendly. Incorporating sustainability can happen at any stage of the business, as material extraction, logistics, manufacturing process, disposable, innovative technology or eco-innovation. When you extract materials from the earth, whether you are going for mining or you are going for extraction of natural resources, they have to be done in a speed which can maintain their regenerative capacity. Overexploitation of environment would interfere with the weather cycles. There could be excessive flood or there could be excessive damage in terms of shortage of rainfall, and both these aspects would give you drought and floods which are difficult to be managed by the government and also by the public. So, the impact is deep down to the lives of the people. So, the product design should be such that they should not do over exploitations, the logistics, the maintenance, the material design has to be in sensitization or in response to the environmental quality. Less harm to the environment and higher quality to the product is the logo of surviving and building empires for business eco-entrepreneurs. Creating green and social responsible attributes. Product development needs to minimize negative environment and social impacts throughout the product's life cycle. You have to comply with the principles of economic, social and ecological sustainability. That is, what is product design? Product design is the specifications of product associated with their valuable physical presentations in terms of packaging and in terms of performance. Now, the tangible product which is based on many attributes, like if you are doing packaging from plastics, it is chemicals which do put a harm on the earth's sensitivity to breathe. They also give a negative impact to the animals. So, it is important that if we try to go for textile packaging or for paper packaging which is biodegradable, can change the product attributes and give comfort to the citizens of easy waste management. The consumption and materialism has increased, where our needs have increased, and as we make the products more disposable, it creates a waste pressure on the environment. How do we transport this waste? How do we manage this waste? The recycling has become difficult. So, we should try to incorporate designs where the product materials and the content could be recycled, and they should be sustainable to give minimum harm to the environment. Sustainable product design should encompass the right selection of material, use of resources, production requirements and planning for the final disposition, recycling, reuse and remanufacturing and disposable. That is, if a product has been made, it has a life cycle, that is after 10 years, 2 years or 3 years, whatever is the life cycle, it has a kind of a impact that it will be thrown in the environment. So, it has to take up a design where the product would be recycled, or the materials, they should not, the multiple use of material should not be integrated in such a way that we cannot segregate it. If segregation of the materials is easy, recycling can become easy. Higher is the product life cycle, lesser is the pressure on the environment. Now, let us study the socio-economic issues. Socio-economic issues need to be addressed by the business organization in terms of poverty, safety, inequality, health, working environment, quality, cost and functionality. Now, business organizations are sustaining because there is lot of wealth with the entrepreneurs. But if you have earned wealth from people, it is a philanthropic need that you should alleviate poverty. That is, you should distribute wealth in terms of organizations who can give health, who can give nutrition and food to the people. It is the duty of rich people to be stakeholders in terms of giving protection to people who are less privileged, because business thrives in society. It is the social acceptance that has given wealth to them. The safety of people is important. The product should not have impact on your body and mind, that is, the negative impacts can create a bad body and a bad health. The inequality in the society in terms of consumption has to be managed, where the cost has to be decided that the products reach to the larger masses and a larger balance is there. Now, there is a simple example that if we use gas cylinders for doing cooking in our homes, and if only the urban population is using and if rural population is not using, it is inequality. That is a privilege which is taken by rich people, and underprivileged cannot afford a cylinder which is 1000 rupees. So, the government should give subsidies to reach to those families who cannot afford a technology which is very essential for body, mind and for environment. Because if you do not give gas cylinders, the poor people will cut the forest and will use wood as fuel. Now, this fuel which is used for cooking will put a pressure on the environment of cutting more trees, and cutting more trees is inviting disaster for environment in terms of floods and in terms of less oxygen for people, where you will have suffocated in a polluted environment with more carbon dioxide. So, if we supply cylinders and create equality in society where price is reasonably affordable or subsidized by government, we can balance the socio cultural and the ethical issues in the environment. The prices, the functionality and the substitutes where you put less pressure on the environment have to be addressed by the government. And even if you are doing cooking in the open environment, when a woman is using cow dung and is trying to cook food through this method, then it is not only the environment which is being harmed, but her body is also exposed to smoke, which is like you are smoking 100 cigarettes. So, you will have a deteriorate health, and it will be a large pressure on the government to manage the health of people who are associated with exposure to smoke. And how do we manage this kind of cost of health issues in terms of giving medicines? So, we need to address these issues because they are connected with profits, with business, with environment and with compliances. Implementing sustainable designing, creating designs using fewer materials by incorporating sustainable substitutes, procure materials sustainably, that is using eco-friendly extraction and transportation techniques, reduce materials, that is reduce material weight or transportation volume to put less pollution and pressure on the environment. When you try to design goods in such a way that less materials are used, they are portable, they have less weight. So, the volume on the transportation would be less, and lesser is the transportation, higher is the quality of the environment. So, the value analysis for eco entrepreneurship would be in the design phase to design goods and services with minimum use of gadgets, with minimum use of materials to give comfort in terms of weight and designs. Now, optimizing and improving production. Optimizing production can reduce harmful environmental side effects of toxic chemical release, reduce waste and emissions, improve distribution, use less or reusable packaging, transport and distribute products more efficiently. Now, how do we optimize production? Optimization of production is that we have to reduce wastage. Reducing wastage would not only save expenditures, but it would reduce pollution. We should try to process the materials in such a way that less chemicals are used and more biodegradable materials are used in fabricating the designs of the products. Distribution has to be done in such a way that the pressure on the transportation has to be less, and if they are globally distributed, we need to choose destinations where they could be sourced locally, designed locally and used locally. If this is the funda of using resources locally, it would be a kind of a boon and a kind of a impact on the local population to have less pressure on their environmental quality. Energy conservation and waste management. The eco entrepreneurs reduce energy consumption, use solar panels, wind powers as substitutes, improve durability and reliability of product. They banned options for repurposing, help in managing waste, upcycle products for high end users and needs. Now, eco entrepreneurs will reduce the energy consumption in such a way that if you are using electricity as a source of energy, you can resort to heat energy, solar energy or wind energy to perform many activities which will save these resources. You can improve the durability of the product and the reliability of the product, so that people do not have to buy it again. If they buy it again, that is they are again putting a waste pressure on the environment. So, we need to design durable products which have a sustainability for a longer period of life. Creation of solar panels. The entrepreneurs are innovators to design solar panels to decrease dependency on fossil fuels. Battery operated cost effective vehicles for saving the use of finite and costly resource of petrol. Now, solar panels would generate you energy which is much cheaper and it is free, that is it is generated from sun, and you have a wide resource which can heat your waters, which can cook your food, which can do lot of industrial processes, and this is a easy substitute. And by this you will not put a pressure by using coal, or you will not use electricity as a source of energy. So, if you are innovator and you can design activities which uses less energy, it will be helpful for the public and for the environment. And the battery operated vehicles can save the petrol, which is a finite resources, and it is also a costly resource which requires lot of wealth, because we are oil importers, that is you have to import oil from other countries which uses lot of foreign exchange, putting a financial pressure of spoiling the balance of payments. Impact of cradle to cradle design. Now, let us study what is the concept of cradle to cradle design. This can help in creating designs of products where there can be options for continuously recycling for multiple uses. Cradle to grave design is they use different materials that cannot be separated in order to be recycled properly. Now, cradle to cradle design is that is you can segregate things. If you are trying to make each part in a project in such a way that after the product has been used, you can reuse the product for other options. Now, there is a simple example. If your laptop stops working, you can take the hard drive and use it as a pen drive, or you can use the laptop as a TV screen. There should be multiple uses that we can recycle and upcycle the product. Even if the product has stopped functioning, the various parts can be used as resources for designing other products. So, this is going to give you a segregation of designs where the product can be broken into parts and each part can be used again. But cradle to grave design is when you incorporate and mix multiple materials which cannot be extracted, and when the materials cannot be extracted, they are a kind of a waste which go into the environment and create lots of loads of wastage in the environment which are of no use. And if the materials can be segregated, like if copper can be segregated, it can be again used to make wire. If any alloy which is used, it can be extracted or segregated, it can be designed in a different way and used as a resource for other industries. Use of eco-friendly resources. Cradle to cradle design can be achieved by using eco-friendly resources which can be recycled and regenerated. These resources put less pollution and pressure on the environment. The components and design products can enhance the durability. That is, when we are using the eco-friendly resources in terms of like jute or threads, cotton, or the environmental paper packing or gum from environment which are used in their basic shapes, and we are not using chemicals to make all adhesives and all, this can generally be given to the earth and it will again become soil. So, you have a less pressure, you do not have to manage waste. Biomimicry. Biomimicry term was coined by Otto Schmidt. It is an approach for innovation for sustainable solutions. Sustainable are environmental friendly solutions which can give you services of consumption and need when you want some resource as a input for some production process. Now, triple bottom line. Triple bottom line accounting was coined by John Ellington. It is an accounting method that combines traditional accounting for measuring profits with the impact on social and environmental benefits as well. Now, triple bottom line is the accounting practice where we are designing a balance sheet in terms of cost and profits. Here we also calculate the cost which can be reduced by the use of substitutes. So, this will give you a more quality balance sheet by having an impact where the audit is done even to study the social and the environmental implications of the usage of the operations and the activities. Impacts of triple bottom line accounting. It builds human well-being and social well-being. It builds equity with reducing environmental risk and ecological scarcities. It builds resource efficiency which is socially inclusive. The environmentally friendly activities can build sustainable products and services. Now, this is the accounting practices when we are using any operation which can use a resource from the environment will have an impact on the well-being of the human body. That is, if you take more antibiotics in terms of manufacturing of medicines, you are doing more harm to body. There are natural remedies and there are natural ailments which can cure your body. So, if we use this as a source of growth of the pharmaceutical industry, it will be a more help to people and it will be like you are giving a remedy to people where their mental balance is also impacted, because once you have side impacts in terms of curing your ailments through chemicals, it will imbalance your body and mind. So, there are many industries which are based on knowledge, which are based on other aspects where people do not understand the use of generic medicines or other ingredients which they are using in the preservation of food and all, is a kind of a negative impact. We can use fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, source them locally, use them locally, and when things are designed from the local resources, it will give a kind of a consumption pattern which will generate employment for the local population also. Now, let us study the summary of this lecture. Eco-entrepreneurship can help in creating goodness for people as they can live in less polluted environments. The positive and sustainable services can help in improving quality of life of people. The opportunities for these entrepreneurs can create a good future where preservation of resources can add value to their life. Now, ecopreneurship is all about preservation and conservation of environmental resources, reusing resources so that recycling can put less pressure of pollution and wastage.